Well, hello and welcome to the living room of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers for September 12th, the day of the Fearless Crusader. And here at the top of the page, as a visual representation of the day of the Fearless Crusader, well, we have us, a swan amidst a pond of cattails. That's right. Now, I don't know what that's supposed to represent. I've never seen swans as fearless. Maybe they are. I just don't. It's not common knowledge to me. But sometimes we can derive our own meaning as we get on with the reading. So let's see and find out. It's not really that important. What is important is if it's September 12th and it's your birthday today. Because if it is, I just want to wish you a happy birthday. That's right. And if this video finds you, I don't know, sometime long or shortly after that day has come and gone, I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. That's why we're here, to wish you a happy birthday. But for everyone else who joined us out of curiosity, or more ideally, to celebrate the September 12th birthday, I just want to say hello and welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the birthday reading direct, let's roll some dice. This is the DykASSt birthday cast, so we got to live up to the namesake. At least that's what I want to do, is live up. And so you can see that I'm moving them around there. More importantly, we roll them for synchronicity's sake. And we rolled us a 5 and a 6 for an 11. That's right. Not quite a 12, but hey, that's not necessarily important. It's just fun when they line up like that. In any event, what is synchronicity, you might be wondering? Well, it's just you getting out into the world and letting the universe show you that it's with you on your path. And you do that by taking your numbers out and focusing on them and keeping an eye out for them, your 5 and your 6, 4 and 11. Or you roll your own dice. I'm just putting the intention out there for you, if and you like. It's nice to have your own dice because then you can ascribe front, forward, left, right as directions. So you know which way we going to look for our numbers. And then you can figure out for how long, those kinds of things. But that's not necessarily necessary, to be redundant. In any event, you get out there, you look for your numbers, and when you spy them, you chase after them. That's right. I'd like to use the bus analogy because it's quick, fast, and simple. Maybe you spy the number 6 bus. Well, you jump on, right? And then you follow it until, well, you see another sign, or maybe for a designated set point in time, or you get off on stop number 5. Who's to say? But maybe when you get off, you find yourself on, maybe 11th Street, right? And maybe you find right when you get off, you're at that place on 11th Street where you're in front of a store and it's number 60 or 56 in the address there. Well, go on in. You've never been there before, but go on in. It's part of it, right? And when you get in there, maybe you find it's a feed store. Maybe that feed store sells swans. Who's to say? That would be a theme, right? And sometimes these things can come out like that, where you start to take on a theme. Maybe you start seeing swans everywhere on posters and stuff. Take note of those things. It's the universe trying to show you it's with you on your path, all right? At least that's what I would argue. If nothing else, you're out there and you're getting your steps in. That's right. So in any event, hey, that's been synchronicity, at least as far as I understand it. I think you get the idea. Let's dive in with the birthday read. That's why you're here, right? Okay, your month is September, your day is the 12th, and your sign is 18 to 21 degrees Virgo, of the Virgo III period specifically, and your quality and element is mutable earth. September 12th, the day of the Fearless Crusader. September 12 people are concerned with the literal meaning of both written and spoken word. Not only are they interested in words, but also in language and communication of various types. And it should be said that they greatly enjoy having an attentive audience. This is not to imply that they are particularly effusive types. They understand the importance of restraint. Indeed, most born this day are actually quiet and private people. Overly active and hardworking, they prefer on occasion to let their actions speak for themselves instead of the words which they value so highly. Ethical issues are of the greatest importance to September 12 people, and those who have public and administrative careers are not only capable of cleaning up the act of an organization or a social group, but also of managing to keep it running in a smooth and efficient, albeit unconventional way. And if necessary, they will fearlessly face up to challenges and difficulties of all types, convinced that the truth will win out in the end. And for them, truth is a god. However, they are not in any way dreamy-eyed idealists, but rather tough, critical thinkers. And it is very difficult to put something over on them. Also, they are extremely honest and highly resistant to bribes and influence. They prefer to remain objective in most disputes, but when their passions are stressed or stirred, they will throw in their lot with the side that they believe is just. September 12 people are not always easy to get in touch with, both in the workplace and at home. They tend to hide out and surround themselves with all sorts of defense mechanisms, which they make it hard to get through to them. And they may feel this is necessary, however, for they need isolation to concentrate, and keeping their mental balance is of the utmost importance to them. They can be prone to stress and even face breakdowns if their need for privacy is compromised. And although expansive in their thoughts and projects, September 12 people are much too pragmatic and realistic to be blind optimists. There is a strongly measured, even cynical streak running through them that despises all forms of overenthusiasm, hysterical behavior, and bombast. And they believe people should carry themselves naturally and simply tell it as it is. On the other hand, those born in the state love to spice up their own language with sizable doses of irony and dry humor. And they must be careful of making enemies of all sorts, particularly in the criminal underworld and higher political and social echelons. The key to success for September 12 people lies in their ability to balance their mental and physical sides, harness their nervous and critical energies, and manage to periodically withdraw from their active life for well-needed rest periods. Structuring a meaningful private life, including close friends, family, and permanent lovers, it says, will be a difficult but challenging task for these kinetic people. And they must learn how to share meaningfully and compromise if the happiness the world offers is to be theirs. Well, all right, hey, what I have to say about your birthday, all right? I'd like to provide a little commentary of sorts. So I dove in with some notes here. I would dive in, rather, with some notes. September 12th, the day of Fearless Crusade, concerned with literal meanings of both written and the spoken word, and all without mention of rhetoric classes. That's right, ostensibly. All right. Also, reserved people who enjoy an attentive audience, who are hardworking and let their actions lend to the value of what they can provide, which interestingly seems to carry forward in a variety of ways from the past few days, which doesn't happen often with those kinds of specific traits. And your concern for ethics and keeping organizations running smoothly, facing challenges, and a concern for the truth, which I wonder if such things aren't traits belonging to the general period of the zodiac, because those seem to carry through also with the latter part of or maybe it's the middle part of the Virgo sign specifically. So I just found that interesting because typically those traits don't really carry forward, and if they do, they don't really make it into the reading for the specific day. So in any event, maybe something to take note of. The reading also relates you're also a fearless and reality-focused critical thinker, and who isn't easily snowed. That's right, which makes me wonder if a video concerning the subject of astronomy and other such ideas will even get any views. So there's an interesting experiment to run here. In any event, you're also resistant to bribes and verifiably objective, but also apparently shut yourself in rather, and develop a good deal of defense mechanisms. But for good reason, it would seem, because you need your privacy for concentration. Assuming that even applies. But do what works for you, I say, all right? And I'd say if you can't, what did they say about breakdowns here? That said, I'd say get out enough so that you avoid breakdowns. That's right. Let's see here. I'd argue that it's I'd argue with that point it's an issue. All right, that's I can't read my own handwriting here, it seems. Yeah, if you start having breakdowns because you aren't getting out enough, it's starting to become an issue, and you don't want that to have any power over you, okay? So take note of that if that's the case. You don't want to become an agoraphobic. I think those are the folks that become shut-ins. They got that phobia about leaving the house. So again, if that even applies. But yeah, harness those nervous energies that it spoke of, all right? And put them towards something productive. It's like having another gear you can shift into by being able to use those energies. And sometimes it's a gear you didn't realize you even had, right? And sometimes you try to chase after it at a certain point, and you can't find those nervous energies. But some interesting things might just happen if you're able to harness them. All right, that's what I had to say in a rather disjointed way towards the tail end there, but here nor there. I think you got the point. Watch out for them breakdowns and harness those energies. Don't let the defense mechanisms take any power over you. Yeah, it's a little bit better worded there. All right, hey, let's dive in with your numbers and your planets. All right. Those born on the 12th of the month are ruled by the number 3, as 2 + 1 = 3, and by the expansive planet Jupiter. And those ruled by the number 3, not free, frequently rise to the highest positions in their sphere. They can also be dictatorial, and the more dominant of September 12 personalities must beware of this. And those ruled by the number 3 like to be independent, so September 12 people may feel the urge to relinquish positions of authority for greater freedom. And they can also grow tired of directing others. And the Jupiterian nature of the number 3 lends September 12 people a highly positive, expansive, and optimistic attitude in their outlook and in their endeavors. And in combination with Mercury, which is Virgo's ruler, it grants integrity and honor, which they said to you, truth is a god. So maybe that makes a little more sense now. All right, still no swan though. Okay, let's dive in with your numbers and your planets. Let's see what I had to write here. The number 3 in the expansive planet Jupiter, for that could have been a secondary star, but wasn't going to play second fiddle, so chose to be their own biggest planet in the system kind of energy. Dominant and dictatorial, and takes the larger interstellar blasts while also affecting the rest of us with their gravitational pull. For a little bit of what you call planetary metaphor there. So a willingness to relinquish authority for greater freedom. That's right. To be sure, I wrote. And I do hope that some folks stop by to watch, because this is one of the most personalized number and planet entries that I've come across in the book. I'd hate for it to be wasted, but, here nor there. But if it goes that I'm the only one that saw it, I'm cool with that, because this is a pretty interesting one today. I do say. All right. Hey, let's dive in with your tarot. That's right. One of the more eclectic of the New Age, metaphysical ideologies, but it's in the book. We can expand our horizons with ideas that we don't necessarily need to practice, and it's fun to find out what it's about sometimes. Not that we really find out much, but I'm just giving you a little precursor there. Let's dive in, shall we? Your tarot, the 12th card of the major arcana, is the Hanged Man, who dangles by his foot in a head-down position. And though such a position may seem helpless, the Hanged Man is nevertheless spiritually powerful and deeply thoughtful. And the positive attributes of this card are recognizing limitations and overcoming them, as well as simply being human. And negative aspects, are spiritual myopia and restrictedness. All right, hey. What I have to say about your tarot is a little bit of a copy-paste job in this respect, and it's often the case. But they did personalize your numbers and planets, so let me try to do some heavy lifting for them. All right, here we go. The Hanged Man, for that seemingly helpless but thoughtful and spiritually powerful, despite as much. And then why die in a panic when you can try and think your way out of it, or get right with your maker, or both? All right. In this situation, you're hanging by your foot. All right. You're a realist, and the situation is dire. And when was the last time you saw a horse in the wild? Or a tree branch snap under weight? Probably wasn't very current, was it? And even with a cottonwood, you need a real stiff wind to bring it down. So how's that for a reality check? That's right. The old hanged man metaphor. Thought I would exercise the writing there a little bit. And I don't know if you know about cottonwood, but that can be really thick, and then they come down in a stiff wind real easy. So, and how often do you see that? Not very often. Same with horses. So how are you supposed to get out of a situation like that, I think was the point. Any event, you're not supposed to take it literally, right? You know that, I'm sure. All right, so let's dive in with your health. All right. Those born on September 12th are prone to stress-related problems with their cardiovascular system and digestive organs, and thus smoking and hard drinking should be avoided or eliminated if possible. Hot and spicy foods of all types should be eaten in strict moderation, and at times a bland diet, perhaps macrobiotic or vegetarian, may be helpful. Physical exercises is rarely a hot item for September 12 people, so daily walks are recommended at a minimum requirement. It must be noted that sedentary jobs can be debilitating and ultimately produce chronic physical ailments for them. All right. Intimacy and human warmth are vitally important in helping those born on this day relax and get the sleep they so desperately need. All right. What I have to say about your health. Let's see here. Prone to stress problems with the heart and digestion, and moderation with spicy foods, it says. I think that's a first, so maybe take note. That's a new one. Even the recommendation of a bland diet is a unique entry. I think I've read it maybe once or twice before, for sure maybe once, but in any event, maybe take note of that too. And you know what's another first? That macrobiotic diet. I guess that means eat lots of yogurt, perhaps. I can't be sure. They don't explain it. What else did they have to say here? Mention one other thing. Exercise is rarely a hot take. Or a hot item, rather. They never put it that way. So there's a new one. They personalized this day for you. I really like that. They spent some time on it, I'll tell you. And how's that for human warmth and intimacy? Maybe they figured no one was going to be reading that page, so they would take the time. Maybe. Could be. All right, let's dive in with some advice. All right, some advice. Try to develop a decent personal life for yourself and moderate your workaholic tendencies if you want to live longer. All right, and don't make promises you can't keep or bite off more than you can chew. And watch your health, if only out of consideration for your loved ones. Ooh, that's kind of a pessimistic view of that, isn't it? That's like something you might say someone who's going to kill themselves. Ooh, or any event. Hey, what I have to say about your advice. Not that I'm implying that's what you're going to do, obviously, but just saying. It's an interesting way of putting it. Moderate your work tendencies and develop a personal life. The not making promises you can't keep is a new one, and it's huge by my mind. Though I'm drawn a blank as to why they'd mention that with you, given in the advice specifically, despite it being a decent practice for anyone. And I say that because it's if your truth is God, I think you would keep promises, right? And you're concerned with literal meanings as well, so you're not going to be saying, I'm making promises, willy-nilly, I wouldn't think. And you let your actions speak for themselves. Not somebody I would think is making promises they're not going to keep. But then again, if you stay home a lot, right, try to watch out for them breakdowns, and a promise requires you to leave, say, I could see your priorities being in the stay-at-home column, all right, considering it's easier and you might not be willing to leave. The promises are going to take a back seat. Maybe they go down in the basement if you're staying at home, because the back seat's in a car. In any event, hey, let's get the energy down here and dive in with your meditation. All right. The channels between inner and outer worlds can remain open. One more time. The channels between inner and outer worlds can remain open. All right, that's your meditation. I'm not going to break it down for you. It's your birthday, it's yours, and I don't need to break it down for you. That's right. I'm probably influenced in a way that you don't need. So that's your meditation. Let's dive in with your strengths and your weaknesses. All right, this should be fun. Let's see what we got here. Your strengths: you're honorable, you're witty, and you're fearless. Except when it comes to staying at home, right? Oh, apparently. Yeah, let's see here. And your weaknesses. You ready? You're dry, you're cynical, and you're closed. Dry is a weakness? Oh, for your humor, that's, I don't know, it just depends on the subjective nature of the person you're giving that dry humor to, I would say. That's not necessarily a weakness. But then again, if it relates to moisturization of your skin and other such parts, it could be a weakness, I say. But there's prescriptions for that, I bet. All right, anyway, hey, that's been your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's dive in with those born on this day. And at this point, it's real fun to see who shares your company. But not only that, I think it's a great opportunity to see what those who share your company did to get themselves in the book, what their passion was, ostensibly. And I say that because I meet a lot of people out in this world and I ask them what they do and if they like it, and they generally don't like it. And why is that? Probably because they haven't been able to put in the time or the work required to figure out their passion. More often than not, I would argue it requires both. And, this world isn't exactly cut out for allowing people to do that. And why is that? Well, you just got to get out of college, pay off them loans, get into the first job you can, and maybe stay on that career path just because it's easy or simple. You got it in the resume there. But you haven't had the time to put in, time and work to figure out your passion. So I figured this is the perfect opportunity, if this is something that finds you similarly, without a passion, say, to see what others who put themselves on the map or in the cultural zeitgeist did. And maybe that'll provide some inspiration. Maybe give you an idea of something you could do based on whose company you share. All right, those born on this day. We've got Harry Hudson, the British-Dutch navigator and explorer of the Arctic and Greenland. And he sought the Northwest Passage with a sun set adrift by a mutinous crew. Ugh, that's ugly. We also have Jesse Owens, a U.S. sprinter and long jumper, and he won 5 gold medals at the Berlin Olympics, and he broke 5 world records at the Big Ten meet in a single day. And I'm sure he angered some Nazis, too, on account of when he took place in the Olympics, if I remember correctly. So not a bad thing at all. That's right. So maybe anger you some Nazis as a passion. That could be one. We have H.L. Mencken, perhaps, a journalist, writer, satirist, and editor of American language. And we also have Arthur Hayes Sulzberger, was a publisher and the New York Times founder. And we also have Alfred A. Knopf, who was a New York publisher. We also have George Jones, country singer, and 250 albums, it says. That is a nice round number. Not 251, 250. All right, Maurice Chevalier, I'm assuming, because it's a French name, for a French entertainer, film actor, and it says rags to riches. We have Barry White, the singer-songwriter. We have Maria Muldaur, was a singer-songwriter. So we've got some musicians here. Maybe pick you up an instrument. We also have Scott Hamilton, who, if you guessed, a jazz tenor saxophonist and a composer. We have Louis MacNeice, that's an interesting name, who's an Irish poet and a playwright. Ben Shahn, 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 a Jewish-American social realist painter. We have Herbert Henry Asquith, was the first Earl of Oxford and Asquith, and a British Prime Minister. We also have Margot St. James. It says prostitute union head, and then the word coyote, which could be the name of the union. I'm not sure. And then we have Han Suyuin, Suyin, and then it says in parentheticals, Mrs. Elizabeth Comer, British physician, writer of The Enchantress. So she might have went by 2 names. Who's to say? We have Frank McGee, TV journalist, a lot of writers and singers. Richard J. Gatling, the inventor of the cotton sewing machine, SOWING machine, and the Gatling machine gun. We have Ji Woo Ju, J-U-E, Jew, I'm assuming, a Chinese writer and a journalist of A Journalist and Her Story. And we also have Joop van Tijn, T-I-J-N. The name is today, let me tell you. A Dutch journalist and editor of Vrij, Netherlands, also written in Dutch, I'm assuming. And finally, we have Robert Irwin, an artist. So we had a whole swath of people, a lot of creative folks. So if you're creative, hey, chase after what inspires you. That's right. And I think with that, that brings us to the end of your birthday reading. Except to say, your season is summer. Your sign, once again, is Virgo, of the Virgo III period specifically. And your quality and element is mutable earth. And this has been September 12th, the day of the Fearless Crusader. The day of the swan amidst the cattails, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you, Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up your own copy and diving in further, maybe getting through a little bit faster than I did for you. But either way, it's a great deep dive into some really interesting ideas. Even if you don't believe them, they're there, they're fun. So see what it has to say. And it's going to make a great icebreaker if you have company over. Since nobody's leaving your house, right? You got to have them come to you. That's right. But you got to get the conversation started. And with this book, it might be for better or for worse. But it's going to get it flowing. That's right. In any event, more importantly than talking up the book, I just want to say happy birthday. That's why we're here, to wish you a happy birthday. That's right. And for everyone else who dropped in to also celebrate September 12th birthday, I just want to say, hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday reading. But once more, before we forget, your daily numbers. That's right. A 5 and a 6, 4 and 11. Get out there. Let the universe show you it's with you on your path and see what you see. Maybe see some themes. And at the very least, it told you to do some walking, so get your steps in. That's right. All right. Hey, once again, happy birthday. All right. Take care of yourself.